On today's episode, we're going to go pick up a $20 yard sale find, and then the next day we're going to flip it for $250. I'm also going to be taking you with me to my resale booth because I want to put some wallpaper up in there and really go crazy with the French country theme that I have going on. Let's go. Last weekend, there were a bunch of community yard sales, and this was one of the yard sales that I stopped at. I walked right past this and didn't see it at first, but as I was leaving, I noticed it and I saw those beautiful barley twist legs, and I thought, wow, that really has some good bones. It was extremely dirty and had a lot of surface mold growing on it. It seems like it was either kept in a garage or outdoors. So I knew it was a risk to take this on because I may get it home and realize that there's no removing that mold. But I had to take a chance and I offered $20. At first she wanted $100, then $50, and I said, I'm sorry, I just can't because of the mold. I don't know if this is going to be able to come off fully or how this is going to turn out, so I didn't want to risk any more than $20. She then agreed, and later Manny went and picked it up, and we started working on it immediately. As you can see, it was not in horrible shape, but it definitely needed some restoration. The top especially had a lot of water rings in it and dark stains, and the top really was just dirty. There wasn't much else wrong with it other than it being dirty and needing a little bit of a refresh on its stain. The handles were not original, and it was also missing one. The two doors had two different handles on them, so they definitely had to go. And all the drawers functioned really well, thankfully. I didn't even check that before I bought it, which usually I do. I don't know why. I was just too excited, I guess. But I took all the handles off, removed all the drawers, and Manny and I started cleaning it. We did find some stuff inside here. There was this paper that was from a construction company. It seems like it was a price sheet for everything that they provide, like all the different services they provide and the cost for each service. So that was kind of neat to see. The girl that I bought this from said that this was her grandmother's hutch, so I assume this is her grandfather's construction business. How neat is that? I also found some napkins in here, which I would definitely expect to find inside a china hutch for a dining room. And then I also found these very like 1970s, 80s placemats that were very padded. They weren't in good shape, so that stuff went into the trash. We disinfected the entire piece and scrubbed it extremely well, and thankfully after the second pass all of the mold was completely gone. None of it had gone into the surface. It was all just sitting on the top of the surface and seemed like it was pretty fresh, and it was so easy to remove. I was so relieved because this could have ended up being a total disaster. We were able to save this beautiful antique. Now that all the mold is gone, it is safe to start sanding this, although of course you should always wear a respirator when sanding no matter what. But Manny is going to sand down the top and get rid of all of those water rings as well as some of the dark stains that were on top. I want to go over this entire piece with some stain, and I know a lot of people have been seeing that there is a product out there called Restore Finish that helps to fix little bumps and bruises that are on older pieces of wood, where you just apply this polish and stain combo and it makes it look brand new. But the better way to approach this project is to actually use a real wood stain. So he's going to sand this whole top down. He started at 160 grit and worked his way up to 220 grit, and then on the side here there was some spots that seemed to be heat damaged, so the finish was a little bit crackly, and he went over that with a padded sander just to smooth it out before we went over it with some wood stain. A project like this one is what I believe is actually beginner friendly. Really all you need is a good sander and some elbow grease. It really needed to be cleaned and then sanded and restained, and this is something that most people can do themselves in their garage. So if you have a piece that has some damage to the top or has a little bit of heat damage or whatever it may be, and you want to restore its original wood color, this is the way to do it. And I'm telling you, it's not as hard as it looks. We got all of this done in one day, so I encourage you to try and do the same with your beautiful antique pieces that you may have sitting in the garage or on your back porch or whatever, maybe in storage. I know a lot of people have stuff like this in storage. Go pick it up, take it home, and spend a day or two restoring it to its former glory. The stain color that we're going to go with on here is Jacobean. I chose the stain color because I have knowledge of antiques, and I know that the Jacobean color was a very common color stained for hutches or buffets. In fact, there is a whole era of Jacobean style buffets. This is not a Jacobean style, but I knew that this stain was going to match really well to the original stain that was on here. Dark walnut would have been very similar as well, but I wanted to use Jacobean for this piece in particular. I think it matched almost perfectly. Of course, it's not 100 years old stain, so it's not going to be exactly the same, but I feel like anybody who sees this after we stain it is not going to notice the difference in shade because it is such a small difference. And we also go over all the entire piece with the stain as well, and that makes it look totally refreshed and beautiful, and it still keeps the patina and age on the rest of the piece, but it makes it look a little more cohesive and cared for. This is a part that many people would think to use Restore Finish on, but I encourage you that if you have actual wood stain that matches your piece, go over it with the wood stain itself instead of using Restore Finish if it is this much damage. So if you're missing this much stain, it's a very large area, or it seems to be pretty dry, I would definitely recommend going over it with the same color stain that it already was. It will be a much longer lasting finish. In fact, it will last another 100 years, whereas Restore Finish needs to be reapplied about every 6 months or so, depending on your climate. This made it look almost brand new again. You can't even tell where it had heat damage anymore. We also cleaned off the top of the hutch, and it was just really dusty. I didn't find anything wrong with this hutch top. There was nothing to do to fix or anything like that, and I actually think that this hutch top is not original to the buffet. The buffet has little dowel holes all across the back of it, as though it was supposed to have like a little trim piece back there. So I don't think it was originally meant to have a top of its hutch. I think it was supposed to be just a buffet. But like I was saying, this hutch top was super dirty, and you can see how brown and yucky my wipes are from cleaning it. I was using Lysol wipes to clean it. I had to go through a lot of wipes to get this thing clean enough for us to stain it. Even our kids wanted to get in on this project. How sweet are they? For the top, I'm going to be sealing it with some feed-in wax. I wanted to choose something that was non-toxic, and it smells really good, and it exploded all over my shirt when I did my first squeeze onto the top of the buffet. I get comments all the time of people saying, how do you stay so clean in your projects? I don't. There are definitely times where I get covered in paint or dirty or whatever, or funny things happen. The other day I spilled a bunch of paint all over my driveways, and you'll see that in an upcoming video, but these things are just things that happen to anybody who's doing DIYs at home. It's totally normal for you to have a oops moment. This ended up looking so beautiful, and it gave it such a nice luster without being too shiny. Manny did a great job of restoring the inside of the hutch with some stain as well. I wanted to make sure that all the details really shined in this antique piece. It's gonna last for easily another 100 years after what we have done with it today, and I wanted to make sure that it was beautiful on the inside and the outside. Here's another great example of how you can go right over a piece with fresh stain without having to sand it all the way back down to its original raw wood. Since we're using the same color stain that it had originally, we didn't need to do all that extra sanding. And now for the first time, we are going to get to see this hutch with the top on it. This is the first time that we actually put the top on and got to see what it was going to look like. Like I was saying before, I don't think that this top is original to the piece, but boy, it sure looks beautiful. It now looks like a Welsh china cabinet. If you haven't seen one of those, you need to look those up because they are stunning. For the hardware, I wanted to go with something that was classic, timeless, and not too detailed. I spent $2 a piece on the drawer handles. I got them from Hobby Lobby on their 50% off sale that they have regularly, and I think that they are the perfect understated hardware for this. I also picked out these from Hobby Lobby for about $3.50 each for the doors. I wanted something a little more vertical for the doors just because it only has one handle on a big door. It needed something a little more substantial, and I thought that these were perfect for that, and they went so well with the other brass knobs. Look at how stunning this is. I really wish I had somewhere in my house to put this because I wanted to keep it so bad, but we know we need to sell these things to make a profit for our business, and we thought we could sell this piece for $250. We priced it at $249.95 for a really quick sale. With the quality of this piece, the rarity of having barley twist legs, I know I could have asked more for it, but I like to price things affordably for people to realistically be able to buy, and I also like for my items to sell quickly. Now don't go anywhere because I still have a lot more left in this video for you. We had to go and put some wallpaper in my booth, and I want to show you that process. So this is what it looked like before. It was just plain white, boring, and you could see all the little nail holes in the walls. And I had bought this peel and stick wallpaper off Amazon for our house renovation. I didn't end up using it in our house. It just ended up not working in the space that I had bought it for, and I didn't want it to go to waste, so I thought maybe I can use this in my resale booth and it will help to give it more character, more French country design like I love, and really stand out, catch people's eye, as well as disguise nail holes, because I have to put tons of nails in the wall to hang different frames and paintings or whatever it is that I am displaying to sell in my resale booth. So I picked this busy design to kind of disguise any nail holes that I have in the future in my booth, and I just honestly think it's so beautiful. I ended up running out at this point and had to order more off Amazon, and came back the next day to finish it up before we brought that hutch in. I was so excited to see how that hutch was going to look with this beautiful background. It is a blue and white toile, and I'll have it linked in my description box down below in my Amazon store. And as I was installing it, so many people were walking by and saying, "Oh my gosh, that's so beautiful, where'd you get it?" So you can see me answering different people here as I'm installing it. but it was just stunning and people gasped as they walked by and saw it. I think that this is such a great peel and stick wallpaper, and I'm kind of bummed that I didn't get to use it in my house. But the pattern doesn't always match up perfectly, so I do want to warn you about that if you do buy it on Amazon. But since it's such a busy pattern, you don't really notice the little tiny parts that didn't match up perfectly. I picked up a few other things from yard sales that day, and this was one of them. This was actually from the same yard sale that I got the hutch from, and I got it for $1, and it has already sold. I believe I sold it for $6.95. I also picked up a paintbrush. You can never go wrong getting a cheap paintbrush. Paintbrushes are so expensive now. I also got this printing press stamp that is up for sale in my booth still, and then I got this framed doily that I thought was really, really pretty. Got that up for sale in the booth, and this has also already sold. We also got a Monet print here. I wish I had a place to put this in my house because it is absolutely beautiful, and you know that Monet is my favorite artist. I also saw this beautiful antique gold frame. And there was another Monet print that matched the first one. What a great yard sale find, and what a great flip. I turned $20 into $250 in one day. It sold the very same day that I put it into my resale booth. It didn't sell from a customer walking through my booth and finding it. It actually sold because I advertised it on Facebook Marketplace for my shop. So if you have a resale booth, be sure that you're advertising your pieces on Facebook Marketplace as well to drive business to your shop. But look at this. We got a full week's worth of groceries for our family of 6 in just one day's work. It turned out beautiful, and thank you so much for coming along with us through this project. If you liked what you saw today, don't forget to hit subscribe down below, and we will see you next time. Bye!